You know, Kevin, why don't we start with the salad? I've always found in the world of pairings that most people feel that pairing a beverage to a salad is the greatest challenge.
Well, that's great, Stan, because we've got some great pairings to go with salads here, actually, right? Because we have our white ale, which has a great fruity character to it. So this Waldorf salad with the craisins and the grapes and everything on there, the apple chips, great fruity flavors, a little sharpness from a little coriander in there is great. And one of the things I love most about pairing beer and food is the dressings are what usually kill salads and beverages, right?
Exactly.
So it's that base that's tough. Well, the bubbles in beer do a great job, that carbonation of cleansing your palate and clearing away all those heavy sauces and dressings.
Well, that's right, Kevin. And our dressings are really on the lighter side. They're not heavily acidic. And I think that, you know, as you said, that just has a tendency to kill the pairings. I love the idea of this going with the white. I mean, not only do we have the fresh fruit in the grapes, but then you've got those concentrated flavors through the dried apple. Oh, sure. Right? You've got all these nice sort of high flavor notes, if you will, and anchored by the nuts. And well, why don't we try it together and try it with the beer?
I've got to get in on this.
You do.
I love the candied pecans on there.
Wow, that really is good. I think you're right. There's so many different layers of flavor going on, but they're so complementary within the salad itself. And what a nice relationship to that white.
And that coriander in the white is just great. It's a nice sharpness to the plate and the sip.
It almost pulls the coriander forward, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be interesting when you taste this beer without the salad. The coriander is fairly prominent, right? And
yes.
for me, it's actually leveled the playing field a little bit, and the fruit character of the beer has been elevated.
There's so many wonderful opportunities, it seems like, with the white ale. What other items that we have here on the table would you think we should try with the white?
Well, I think that beer probably goes well with just about everything we have here. I think it's going to go really well with the avocado and the street tacos. I think we're going to really like it with the great cornmeal flavor of the calamari as well.
So really an ultimate complementary sort of pairing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is a great pairing. You know, I think I'll try a little bit of calamari here.
That is just such a good ale.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a nice complementary kind of pairing that we've been talking about with the different kinds of fruits here, the nuts, the lightness of the dressing, cornmeal flavors that's part of that calamari.
Oh, yeah.
What if we were really trying to get a different kind of pairing, right? So maybe what would you choose to go with that calamari or the street tacos? That would be a little bit more of that contrasting of flavors, that accentuation.
I think the IPA creates great contrast with some of these plates. I think it's going to cut through the cornmeal a little bit here. You're going to get that nice calamari flavor. I think it's going to really go well with the street tacos.
Now, you know, I really wouldn't have thought of this as a pairing to the calamari, but you're right. The hoppiness of this beer with the calamari itself is mild, so a lot of the flavor in the calamari dish does come from the cornmeal, comes from the jalapeno ranch.
And the spiciness in the tacos, hops go great with spicy foods.
Oh, that's right. I mean, that certainly should be a great combination.
I mean, a fruity IPA like this, you think about, well, we've got a lime, a little bit of citrus on the plate already. It does that kind of a thing where it goes in there and it cuts through some of those other flavors. Great contrast.
And you know, you're right to say that, I mean, this street food, one of the things I love about street food is the layering of flavors and all the counterpoint that happens. I mean, we've got a lot of things going on here, right? There's a creaminess to the avocado. There's a saltiness to the cheese, right? We've got that spice. And as you were saying, sort of those, you know, the almost aromatic quality of the cilantro, right? That you get kind of high on your palate. You know, it's really interesting how not only through the hops in the beer, but kind of the weightiness, right? That sort of achieves this really nice pairing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Both fairly strong flavors, so they can really work well with each other. Nothing takes over. I'm actually going to try the Kolsch, which is kind of classic, you know, lighter flavored beer with the tacos. And that's a great example of something that just cleanses the palate, right? Very much complements the flavors, doesn't take over. It's there in a support role, but my palate is fresh and clean after that.
Right. I'm ready for another bite, right?
Absolutely.
No, and I think beyond the carbonation, which really does help keep your palate clean,
Yep.
right? This is just crisp, right? It's got that beautiful balance in itself. It's kind of lighter in body.
I think the little floral finish in there from the hops goes really well with the cilantro,
Well,
right?
it does, and
That
you know,
herbaceous?
I think in a way that, you know, wouldn't you say that that kind of floralness in the beer and the herbaceousness of the cilantro, like there's a nice emphasis there. There's a nice bridge
Absolutely.
between the two, right? One kind of plays off the other in a way of emphasizing that quality,
Yeah.
either in the beer or the dish. In this case, both.
Yeah, and the difference between these two beers, the IPA and the Kolsch with that street taco, is immense. It's a different experience.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I think that, you know, that's the thing about pairing. You could pair the same dish to a different beer every time you come in and have a totally different experience dining here.
Okay, so we're working our way through here. We haven't been to the brown.
You know, it strikes me, Kevin, that the brown would actually pair really nicely with the jalapeno pretzel sticks and the cheese dip.
Okay, I think that's a worthwhile endeavor.
Let's bring that over.
Excellent.
And what do you think? Is this going to be a balancing or complementary, maybe a little of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a nice balance. I think the flavor intensities are similar between the two dishes, but I think we're going to find some great complements between the brown ale and its kind of roasted, baked, bready flavors, and the flavors in the pretzel as well, that kind of yeasty, bready character, and a little bit of the cheese character, because cheese really has a nutty background to it, right?
Oh, that's right,
You know,
right.
and that's really accentuated in the brown.
You're making me hungry and thirsty. You are so right. The flavor in the beer really draws out the baked exterior, kind of that browning and you know, that little caramelization that happens on the exterior of the breadstick. Really is drawn forward by the complement of the brown ale.
That is delicious. You know, and those nice round yeasty flavors in the brown ale go great with this. Nicely done. Good call.
Good call. Thank you. That's a compliment from a master brewer.
Well, you know, Stan, it seems somewhat counterintuitive, because we always think about seafood with lighter flavors. I'm thinking the brown is going to go really well with the calamari and this golden cornbread crust on there.
Well, you know, that really is an intriguing thought, and you're right. I wouldn't have really thought about that at all.
Well, that's really good, and there's a little unexpected love in there when you have the jalapeno with it, because the jalapeno picks up the roasted flavors of the malt in the beer, and it ends up with this great roasted jalapeno flavor. What a great deal.
That really works, and something I'm a little surprised by, when we were having the brown with the jalapeno breadsticks and the cheese dip, it was very full-bodied, very weighty. When I try it with the calamari and especially that bite of jalapeno,
right,
the beer itself doesn't feel quite as heavy on my palate.
That's right. It's pretty amazing the shifts that these beers and the food go through as we move around through these pairings.
Well, you know, I mean, this is pretty amazing. And we're really just scratching the surface. We've just had some of our appetizers and starters and street food. I know we've got some burgers and some entrees on the way. So why don't we just keep going down our path?
Let's get it on.